Oh no, I didn't put enough milk in there. What a mess. Hey there, Ted Jones here, owner of Riverview Coffee Roasters. I do roast-to-order coffee subscriptions in the top 1% of the world's supply, shipped to you ultra fresh. And I also teach you how to do everything you need to know in order to get world-class coffee in the comfort of your own home. So we did a video previously about the Gaggia Velasca Prestige, focused on one-touch super automatic espresso machines, and using this model as an example. We showed how to make a cappuccino, how to make a mocha, how to make a tea latte, and how to make a short shot of espresso. Okay, today we're gonna do another one focusing on the functionality of this machine. How to dump out the drip tray and clean it off, how to change the water out, how to remove the ground pucks, how to open up the group head, clean it off and replace it, how to fill the bean hopper, and how to adjust the grind settings, as well as all the basic buttons and their functionalities, okay? In a future video, what we're gonna focus on is how to program all these buttons and how to do basic maintenance on the machine to keep it in the best shape possible. So let's get started. All right, so let's go over some of the basic parts of this machine and how they operate. This right here is where you're gonna put the water in. You just grab it with your fingers like that. You'll notice this icon right here whenever the water gets too low, so it's always easy to know when to fill it. As you see, it fills like this. And this is the water filter that comes with it. You'll want to get one of those once in a while, whenever the machine will tell you, actually. And you can brew about 5,000 cups of coffee in here before you're going to need to decalcify, which is just clean out the lines, make sure there's no blockage of hard water deposits. And you see that the icon went away for the lock of water because of the fact that we put it back in place. So that's always how that works. Here's the grounds basket. You'll see right here that there's pucks that form because basically you have your own barista inside the machine. The coffee is ground, it's put into a chamber, it's packed in by the machine and pressed to make the espresso, the same way you would do it manually, but automated, obviously. And so whenever this gets too full, you'll notice this icon will come on showing you that the grounds basket is full and that you'll want to dump it. And then as soon as you replace it, the light will turn off again, just like the other one. This is your hot water spout. So anytime you want to do hot water, you go to special drinks, hot water, and you press the check function, always is to confirm. This is showing to make sure you have the hot water spout in place. You can press check on that, put a cup underneath it, fill it with as much hot water as you like. I showed in the other video how there's also a baby cappuccino. I honestly don't find any use for this, but if you find that you like to have that different size drink, then that's great for you. It's not something you can program. That's an automated drink made by the machine. Now to back out of anything, you can always push this back arrow button, and that'll take you out of any function you're already in. So now we can make an espresso in here if we wanted with the espresso button here. You program this one the way you like. On the next video, I'll show you how to program all these buttons. This makes a single shot. This makes a long shot for people that like extra long coffees, but to be honest, I don't find a huge use for this. You know what I actually use this for? I use this to make a ristretto, and I program this to make a normale, which I showed in the previous video about how to make the 4 basic drinks, that a ristretto is equal weights ground coffee to the amount of liquid weight that comes out in the shot. Normale would be 1.5 times the weight. That's how I would recommend to do it. A lungo generally, though, is about 3 times the weight of the initial grounds. But to me, that comes out diluted, thin, and bitter. So it's not really my cup of tea or cup of coffee, so to speak. Right here, we have the aroma strength button. So you'll notice that shows you a pre-ground function. And then this shows the strength. Every coffee bean that's colored in is how strong it's going to be, which means this goes between 7 and 11 grams of coffee. So we're at 7 grams, 8 grams, 9 grams, 10 grams, 11 grams per shot that comes out. For myself, I always keep it at full strength because 7 gram shot is very little coffee, and you would end up programming that thing to be a really amazing shot of coffee. It's going to be barely any espresso coming out. So for myself, I always keep it at full strength. Okay. Now I can show you this cappuccino button. Of course, you're going to put your milk carafe in here. I can show you that. You pop out the water, hot water one. You just squeeze the sides of it. Okay. And then I keep the carafe in the fridge. So you pull out your milk carafe. You want to flip the arm out. I showed you what not to do in the last video as well, and I had the epic milk carafe fail. And then you have it in place to hit your cappuccino. You'll notice that the steam will pop up. It'll froth around 2 times and come out really nice and frothy. Then after the milk is dispensed, the espresso will be dispensed. The milk can be programmed to how long you want, and the espresso shot can be programmed to how long you want. So the beauty is you could set this cappuccino to be a longer or shorter shot if you want, and it does not correlate with these. These are their own programs. This is its own program. Then we have the milk froth function right here, and that froths just hot milk to come out. So you could do it to make your tea lattes like I showed in the last video. You can also use it to make a hot chocolate if you want, or just to have a nice hot cup of milk in the evening. Here we have the menu button. Okay, this adjusts your coffee temp. I find that coffee always brews the best with a very hot temp. So I keep my coffee temp at the hottest level possible. So you see these other functions in here. We can go through those. Okay, so there's coffee temp. There's reset. That'll just set it back to the factory settings. Calcification clean. That's to clean out all the water lines, make sure there's no hot water deposits. You'll only need to do that, like I said, every 5,000 coffees or so. We have the water filter for when you want to change the water filter, and you can set the water filter to the hardness of the water you're using. You'll see that in the manual when you first get it. We can go over that in the next video. Full carafe clean. Now you can buy a little powder cleaner that this company Gaggia sells, or other one-touch machines sell, and it basically is a soap that cleans out the lines of the carafe and pumps lots of hot water through it to make sure that it's completely clean. But you'll want to take this whole thing apart every so many days and clean it out well, because you don't want to get little milk residues in there that can give a pretty foul flavor to the coffee if you're not careful. Display contrast, just how bright you want the screen. I like to have mine at a strong contrast. I'm kind of a full blast guy if you didn't notice already. Water hardness, so that's what I was saying actually about testing the water hardness. Standby, that's how long you want to keep the machine on after you stopped using it. So the machine will know. So we could press check here, and then you can set it to 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 180 minutes. Okay. I think about a half hour actually is ideal for me, because that way you don't waste too much electricity, but it's not shutting off constantly. So we'll set that, and you get the check sign every time you set a new program. Pre-infusion. So this is extra is what we have it set on. That means it gives extra water put onto the grounds. You'll hear the pumping gauge one time, and that will wet the grounds to pre-infuse them. And pre-infusion is preparing the coffee to have the flavor come out. So it's getting the coffee to settle in evenly with the moisture in it, and it's getting it ready for it to be that main shot to come out. You could set it to off if you want, so that you don't have any pre-infusion and it just starts going with the shot straight up. You can just have it on, or you can have it on extra. Now I like to have it on extra. I find that I get a little bit more flavor extraction out of it, and that's just my preference. You can see the difference and try it at home, see what you like. So there, we've set that to extra now. And we're back to coffee temp. So we checked all of those. I'll show you the coffee temp function just so you can see. You can have it at max, medium, or minimum. I always keep it at max, because when you're brewing coffee, you're going to get more flavor out of the coffee when you have it on max. If you're using a super dark black oily bean, you may want to have it on medium. But honestly, if you use a black oily bean in this machine, you're going to gunk it up. You're going to ruin the machine. This machine is meant to make espresso, and coffee that dark is not meant to be brewed as espresso. You'll find that if you do, the flavor is going to be very bitter, very ashy, very burnt. And the residue and the oils from that coffee is going to go down in the grinding chamber. It's going to go into the group head where it brews. It's all going to clog up and it's going to make a really foul, rancid flavor and smell. And eventually it's going to clog to the point where it won't even operate anymore. So in here, I'll show you the kind of beans I have. This is the bean hopper up top here. This is the kind of beans I would recommend, just like a matte finish. Okay. There's a grinder setting in here with little notches that go from biggest grind setting down to the finest. I always keep mine at the finest. When you're brewing espresso, you'll really want to have a fine grinding setting. So I never mess with this. If you wanted to make this machine make you more of a regular cup of coffee, I don't think it's the best for that, but you could do that theoretically. In that case, I would set it to the coarsest setting. And then I would allow it to run a lot more water through to try to emulate brewing a regular cup of coffee. But if that's the kind of coffee you're wanting to brew, I recommend getting a different model. Maybe the Breville grind control would be a great one because it'll grind it and brew you regular cups of coffee. And I've had really great success with that. And so have lots of my customers and family and friends. Right here is a little dosing basket for pre-ground coffee, or when you want to make a decaf and your hopper's full of regular coffee, or vice versa. So that's the beauty of making it a cup late at night when you want to, or when you just happen to have a bag of coffee that's already been ground and you just don't want to waste it. You want to use that, you can do this. But this machine really is meant so that you can make really high quality, fresh cups of coffee with using great beans. So it would defeat the purpose somewhat to use pre-ground coffee, honestly. But you do have that option if you want to use it, okay? Now we could show the side of the machine. Let me turn this for you. In here, see, you want to pop this out. You want to pull this out just a little bit to make it easy. And then here's the door. It just flips open with your thumb. This is the group head, okay? Now the group head has this little drip tray. You'll slide that out carefully. You'll see it does get some residue. You'll want to clean that off every week or so. And then this has a little push right here. You push that and it just slides right out, okay? All you need to do to clean this is just run this under lukewarm water. You don't want it to be hot and you don't want it to be cold, but you want to get out all those extra grounds and everything that catches in there and get all the extra oils rinsed off so that it keeps it really nice and clean. And then on the inside, you can just give it a wipe out with a towel. Keeps this machine in great shape. Doesn't take very much at all, obviously. So when you do rinse it off, you're going to want to sit it out, flip it over and let it sit on your drying pad or on your countertop until it dries on its own. You don't want to be trying to wipe out all the details of this thing, because what's going to happen is you're going to screw it up possibly, and you don't want to mess with it. You just want to keep it real simple. So you slide all that back in. You'll know when it went back in right, because the machine will show correctly. If it doesn't show correctly, you know that your group head's not in there right. All right, so if you want to make a decaf or pre-ground coffee, you're going to use this chute right here. You want to make sure you're only using pre-ground coffee, okay? You're going to hit this button right here, and that's going to show the little pre-ground scoop. That's going to give you a signal that any drink you make is going to be made using whatever you put in here, okay? Now, this machine can only handle doses up to 11 grams. That means you can put 11 grams of coffee, or roughly 2 tablespoons worth of ground coffee in here. You want to do as fine a ground as possible without going so fine that it clogs the machine up. If you do, it's going to make its noise and nothing's basically going to come out, maybe just a couple drops, and it's going to discard the puck and you're going to have to start over again, okay? You press that button once, it'll stay on that function until you choose what drink you want. If you decided that you don't want to use the pre-ground function, you can back out of it for whatever reason. Maybe you hit the button on accident, you hit the button again, okay? Then it's going to go into its aroma strength settings. And right now it's at 7 grams. And like I said, generally you want to use that at full capacity at 11 grams. So that you get a decent sized coffee. In Italy, they drink smaller coffees. Most of us know, in Europe, that the coffees aren't as big as these giant American coffees we're used to. So for me and most people, I would say to have it at all 5 beans colored in. And that's going to give you the 11 gram dose. Okay. Now let's See what happens when you hit one of these. And let's say you want to do the espresso. You grind your coffee, you measure it out, you put it in here, your 2 tablespoons of ground coffee, and you hit espresso, okay? It's trying to pack that coffee in, and there's no coffee in there. Not pre-infused. And you see coffee coming through, and the reason why is because there's still a little bit of coffee in the lines. So that's another way you can rinse the group head through as well if you want to. And then it'll reset back to normal. Then any other drinks you make after that are going to be made using the beans in the hopper. When the hopper runs out of beans, it's going to show a setting showing there's not beans in the hopper, okay? Anytime any of these things run low, it's going to show you. So it's going to make it really easy to know if you have enough in there. When you open this lid, look, it won't grind. That's a safety feature so that no one can get their fingers stuck in the grinder or anything, okay? Now it's going to grind a shot because we set it to, and now we put the lid back on, it's ready to function properly. So you see the meter shows you how far along it is. Okay, when it gets to the end, you know it's at the end of its shot. Very simple functionality. Now I'll show you how to take the drip tray out. There's 2 little levers on the side here, little buttons you press in. Slide it right out. Okay. There's the little buttons. One on each side. Push those in. This red thing right here is going to show you, that's going to float up if your drip tray gets full, okay? So you can just go ahead and dump that out in the sink when it's full. And then you can rinse it out and wipe it out with a towel. Real simple. I'm going to do everything today. This is just to show you basically how it operates. We do have the carafe quick clean right here. I showed in the previous video. So you have your carafe in, put your cup here, press carafe quick clean, hit the check button to confirm that selection. And what it's going to do is run some hot water through here to clean out all of the milk residue that may be left inside there after making milk drinks. It's running a little hot water through it right now. Keeps it nice and fresh, keeps it nice and clean, so every coffee tastes like a brand new one. This is a little tray where you can heat coffee cups up. So you can put your coffee cups right here, like such. And the residual heat of the machine will keep them warm for you. Perfect place to pop them anytime you want to make yourself a nice coffee. Okay. Then you can just grab one. Boom, ready to go. Let's make a double espresso. I'll show you. This machine, actually, you can make 2 espressos at the same time. So you have 2 spouts here always. Anytime you're making a single, you're going to want to have the cup square underneath it so it catches both spouts. But when you want to make a double, you put them side by side right in the middle. Make sure you have them lined up right. Then you hit the espresso button twice in a row. You'll see this 2x here. That shows that it's making 2 times the coffee. So what it's going to do is go through 2 brew cycles. Because of the fact that it only will take 11 grams of coffee in the group head at a time to brew, it's going to do it 2 times. So you're going to get half a shot in each cup in each brew. That's the pre-infusion, wetting the grounds for the flavor to come out. And here's an actual shot coming. See, so make sure you have your glasses adjusted accordingly. Now it's going to go through the whole thing again. It's going to dump out the used coffee puck into the grounds dispenser. It's going to start grinding new coffee, repack it, pre-infuse it, and then it's going to brew the second shot so that you have 2 single shots. It's ground now, it's packing. Pre-infusion. And here comes the shot. So there you go. You can easily make 2 people an espresso at the same time. I think that's an awesome function of this machine. And then you want to make an Americano with this. You just pop this in. That's your water spout. Go to your special drinks button, hot water, press the check. Make sure you want to have the spout in there so that don't make a mess. And this is how you make an Americano. You just run some hot water over it. That, to me, is the best way to make a regular cup of coffee. I know a lot of people that actually don't even make milk drinks in here often. They mostly use it just to make regular Americanos, which if you went to Italy, this is the way they'd make you a coffee, because they focus on espresso drinks there. And they know Americans like regular cups of coffee. So that's an American style cup of coffee made by an Italian machine. So there you have it. As you see, the machine is very easy to operate. All the buttons are very clearly defined. You can change everything out, keep things very clean, very easily. Easy is the main word I would use to describe this machine. And if you take care of it, it's gonna last you a whole long time. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next videos. You can always hit subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And don't forget to hit the bell notifications button so you can always get notified when I have a new post up. All right, see you the next time.